Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install a backflip cover on a 2016 body style Toyota Tacoma. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is remove our bulkhead bar. Now to do that, we're going to need to use a T30 Torx bit. I definitely recommend using a socket Torx bit that you can attach to a ratchet. And I also like using an impact driver as much as the next guy, but these are so easy to strip out. I definitely recommend to break them loose with the socket first. And if you want to use your impact driver, use the impact driver after you've broken them loose. Now on the end of our bulkhead bar, we're going to need to apply our block seal. You're going to notice you're going to have some block seals in your kit. They're going to adhere right to the end of that bulkhead bar. You want to wipe that down with alcohol first. We're going to do this on both sides of the bulkhead bar. Now we're going to put the headrail back in place on top of our bulkhead. We're going to use the exact same hardware that we took it out with. Okay, now we've already wiped down the bulkhead with alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and apply the bulkhead seal. It's going to go all the way on top of the block seal, and it's going to align up to the inside of that of the bed of the truck. And to this side, we're going to cut it to fit right at the edge of the block seal. All right, so with the deck rail system, what we're going to do first is we're going to get the tie-down cleats out of the way. If you've never done that before, all you do is you're going to loosen up these knobs, get them to the point where you can push in and turn, and it pops right out of the deck rail. Now we need to remove the deck rail system, so we're going to take out the end caps. Just push in on those end caps, slide them out of place. We're going to take our T30 Torx driver, and we're going to remove the bolts that hold the deck rail system to the bed of the truck. All right, next, since we're on the passenger side, we're going to get the passenger side rail. The front of the rail is going to have the rectangular tab that goes up towards the bulkhead. The inside of the rail is going to have a rubber gasket that goes over top of the bed cap. Before we set it in place, we're going to look at the inside of that rail. This is actually where our clamps are going to slide into. So we're going to take and slide those clamps into place. We got 4 clamps, and they're going to line right up to the screws that we took out before. Now once we have those clamps set in place, just in the rail, we want to space them properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the rail in place all the way up to the bulkhead, and we're going to line those clamps up to the holes. Do that with all 4 clamps. Now next, you're going to be provided some longer Torx bolt screws that are going to go through the clamps into those holes, and you're just going to want to start those into place. Start them into the threads. Don't try to tighten them down just yet, because we want to make sure everything's lined up before we tighten everything down. All right, now we've got the rail set in place. We want to make sure it's pulled all the way up to the bulkhead. We also want to make sure that it's all the way up on top of the bed caps. And now we can go ahead and start tightening down the bolts and work from the back and work your way to the front. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the deck rail system back to the truck on the clamps. Now the clamps are going to have some threaded holes at the bottom. We're just going to take the smaller provided Torx head bolts and we're going to line those through the deck rail system up to those clamps. And again, you want to get the screws started into those holes. Don't quite tighten them down until you got everything lined up. I also do not recommend using an impact driver on any of these steps, as number one, you don't want to strip out the Torx head on the bolts. Also, this is going into an aluminum bracket. You don't want to strip out that bracket. Once you got them all in and lined up, go ahead and snug them down. Next, go ahead and put the end caps back into the deck rail and reinsert the tie-down cleats. Now we're going to go ahead and locate our prop rod. We're going to snap it right into the ball stud. We're going to hang it into prop rod bracket. Now we can go ahead and attach our drain tube. We're going to slide it right over top of the drain cup. I've already made a hole in the bed rug and in the bed of the truck, so I'm just going to go ahead and slip that drain tube down through there. We're going to repeat all those same steps on the driver's side as well. All right, next what we want to do is we want to go ahead and install our clips onto the bulkhead piece of the cover. So we're going to fold that over. You're going to notice you got a couple of holes in the top of the cover. That clip is going to line up to those two holes. You want to make sure that this portion of the clip is facing away from the cab. So it's going to kind of ramp up that way. We're going to take these backer pieces. This is what the screws are going to thread into. We're going to slide them into the back side of the cover. And we're going to hold them in place while we take a Phillips head screwdriver and tighten the screws down. You can do the same thing to the driver's side and the passenger side. All right, now what we're going to do is going to go ahead and lift up the cover and set it on the rails. This portion, of course, goes towards the cab of the truck. We're going to want to pull that back until that drops down. We're going to set that up against the bulkhead. Bear down once the gasket is over top of the bulkhead. Bear down just a little bit and force the cover all the way up to the bulkhead. We're going to find our elevator bolts in our kit. We're going to take that apart. Star knob, lock washer, flat washer, and one rubber washer we're going to pull apart from what comes to us. We're going to drop that elevator bolt down through the hole. That's going to go through that rectangular tab on the inside of the rail. All right, now we're going to go ahead and rotate the cover up towards the cab of the truck. Now underneath the cover, we're going to find our elevator bolt coming down through the bottom of that aluminum tab. Next, we're going to take our rubber washer, flat washer, and lock washer and go right up onto that elevator bolt. And next, we're going to take our star knob and thread it onto the elevator bolt. We are not going to tighten it down at this time though. We're going to do the exact same thing to the passenger side as well. Now that we have the elevator bolts loosely installed, we want to make sure the cover is centered in between the rail on each side, and then fold it down one panel at a time. Each time we fold it down, double check, make sure that cover is staying centered. If you need to shift it back and forth a little bit, now is the time to do it. All right, now that you have it centered, what we're going to do is very gently, one panel at a time, fold the cover forward. We're going to make sure not to let it shift one side to the other. We get all the way up to the cab. Now we can go ahead and tighten down those star knobs all the way. All right, what we want to do is we want to rotate the cover up against the cab to see where the cover would strike the cab. Then we're going to take and attach these bump stops. Just peel off the 3M tape, stick the bump stops to the cover where it would strike the cab. You want to put it all the way up to the very top of that panel. When we tested the operation, we're all done. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.